Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. I hope you enjoy, so let's get started.
Downstairs we have the projector. It's a great way to watch and enjoy movies, games, TV shows, whatever. Anything that needs to be projected onto the big 100-inch screen here. But upstairs we just have the TV, which isn't a problem. The problem though is that everything that is fun and cool is down here. And the only thing that's upstairs on that TV is the antenna and the Apple TV. Well, what if I want to do something a bit more? Like a MacMini here with the hard drive where I can watch TV shows and, emulate some games and things. What about that? Well, I think today we're going to change all of that and look into what we can do with some cables and another MacMini. So right now, I am taking a look to see if I can find, well, there's a VGA cable, but maybe a cable that is HDMI to DVI. I think I have one like that, and we could have a couple different options and ways to connect a 2009 Mac Mini to the TV upstairs. So in the bin of cords, I was able to find the DVI to HDMI cable here. Hopefully that'll work for us. And a mini DVI. I want to say this is mini DVI. I don't think it's mini VGA. Mini DVI to DVI adapter here. So we'll be able to connect those two. And like I said, I have some late 2009 Mac Minis here. Not really sure what this is. But I have two of these things. One of them I had in college as our main desktop computer. Similar setup to the Mac Mini is here, except it had two monitors instead of just the one. It was a dual monitor setup. It worked really well for us in college. And then I ended up getting another one to go with the projector in college. And well, I don't know. Well, I do know actually why I didn't use it in this setup. And that's because it didn't have audio over HDMI. And now that I'm thinking that, yeah, that's a problem. I don't think we'll be able to do this then because I can't input audio through this method. Ooh, very good point. But if we do VGA, we should be able to have an audio input. So let's take a look at those cables again. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that until right now, but this does not deliver audio over this connection. Obviously, HDMI has audio, and we're going to need that. So, the reason I was able to do it in college is because the shelf I had for the projector, the Mac Mini was right next to it. Well, here, the Mac Mini's all the way over here. So I ended up getting a mid-2010 Mac Mini, the first one to have HDMI and support, all of that, which is great. And obviously then that HDMI has to come all the way across over here into here, so that becomes a bit more of a problem. But since it's right underneath the TV, we should be able to do a VGA setup. We have our audio cable here, and of course I have plenty of VGA cables, and I'm sure I have an adapter that goes from that to VGA somewhere. I don't see it right in here, but I'll look in my other bin and we'll try one of these out and let's see if that works for us. Here's our adapter. This one is the mini DVI to VGA. Again, I believe it's mini DVI. I haven't worked with this connector in some time. Would have been cool to use this, but obviously there's no secondary input for the HDMI, at least not on this TV. But with the VGA, and I did take a look, the VGA plug on the back of the TV does take a regular headphone jack connector here. Sometimes you need to have the separate, red and white, left and right channels on the back, but nope, this one will take that. And then we'll get our VGA cable, and we'll choose one of these. They're exactly the same. They're both a 2.26 gigahertz Core 2 Duo with 8 gigs of RAM and SSD, all the bells and whistles for what they are. We used to use them at work for a little bit, actually, until El Capitan, which is the highest that these can technically go without doing patches and stuff. It just became too old for the web browsers and things that we needed to run, so that was a little sad. Either way, they're still fully capable machines, especially for watching videos, because I don't really watch anything more than 1080p. This works perfectly fine for that. Here's everything we need to wire up our Mac Mini to the TV. Boy, things are so much more simple now. All you need is the computer itself, the power cord, not the power adapter, just a cord and an HDMI cable, and you're off. We got all of our items. We got the television. Now we just need to get behind it. The problem is, all the outlets are already used, so something's going to have to go, or something's going to just get plugged into the wall there. As you can see, this power strip doesn't even have a surge protector. It's that thing on the wall. Anyway, let's pull this thing out if it will fit, and that's how we'll get behind it. Okay, we got all the wires and stuff plugged in back there, moved one of the lamps to the wall, and that worked perfectly fine. So anyway, we got the TV here. Oh, it turned off again. Well, isn't that just convenient? I was going to have it boot up and make sure the thing worked right on camera, you know. Might not be the worst idea ever. So let's go ahead and hit our power button here. Yeah, we got something. VGA here. Seems to be working just fine. So, there we go. Just going to set this up so it's a little bit more user-friendly on the TV. You know, like bigger size icons and stuff. Get a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, and I think we'll be all good. Used to use this machine, again, back in college. We did emulating on it to play games on the projector and all kinds of fun stuff. So it'll be fun to kind of get some of that back and going. Not much else to show, really. It ended up working out absolutely fine. Everything's set up perfectly. I got a mouse and keyboard hooked up to it now, and yeah, there's not much else to say. It worked exactly as I anticipated. Inside this box is another fan that came with all the other N-Cons and the gear-driven fan, except this one doesn't have any blades or anything with it. It also doesn't have any tags on it. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with it yet, but I thought it's definitely worth taking a look at, obviously. So, let's see what we got here. The first thing that stands out to me is this brace that it has. What in the world is this? Well, the first thing that came to my mind is that this is for display track at, you know, like your Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, wherever it may have been. There's a track that they display all the light fixtures and fans on, and that's what this is. It slips in on one end, clips in on the other, and you have all the wiring here at the top with a very thin plug that fits in between the whole thing, as you can see here. So there'd be a plug up in that track, you'd plug it in, you'd hook it up into the track and pop it up there, and that's how they would display their fans. So this is obviously some type of display model that she ended up acquiring at some point, because it still has the display track piece on it. So unique. Anyway, here is the fan itself. So let's take it out of its box here, and maybe somebody will have an idea what this thing is. There's no vents on it. It's a white and brass 5-blade ceiling fan. Let's see what else we have in the box here. We have 4 matching glass globes here, and I believe there's some bulbs in the bottom, but they're all done. Let's take a look at these two. This one looks to have a vacuum failure. This one is, well, just done. So let's see what else is in here. So here's the globes that came with it. Kind of an interesting design. And these were the little rubber pieces that were around it. Obviously they're quite disintegrated. The 2 bulbs, and of course the motor itself. So everything's white and brass, as we, well, obviously has already seen. But let's take a look at the top. So this is all the information we have. I don't see a manufacturer on this. I'm not sure who made this thing, but maybe somebody would definitely let us know in the comment section. If we turn it here, we can see the UL sticker. It's dated November of 03, and this is dated April of 04. Then there's a customer service number. I suppose I could call that and see who picks up. That might give us an answer. I don't see anything there either, so I'm not entirely sure. Again, here's our bracket for mounting the display lights. You know, you'd have your wire come in. There's some holes here for a different style of mounting for the lights. And then, of course, it would come across and you'd plug that in and pop it up there. Interesting that it came with that. You think the store or wherever she obtained this from would have wanted to keep that, but I guess not. Yeah, interesting fan here. Naturally, you can see the motor inside is much smaller than the housing, but that's pretty typical for a lot of these things. I'll honestly just probably part this out for parts. There's a lot of decent parts to be had here, since I don't have the blades or anything. So that is our unknown named fan until someone lets us know in the comments down below. Here's the inside of the light kit. Not much in here either. It says max for probably 60 watt lamps. Yep. And then we have our capacitor here. Let's see, it's 1.5 and a 2.5 microfarad. It was literally just kind of stuck on there with some sticky tape. We got our switch and our reverse switch. Of course, light kit and all that. I'm sure it came with a light kit no matter what to begin with, but maybe it had a cover here as well if you didn't want one. But it's really integrated into the cover, so I suppose it's probably all in one. And there's the ball out of the socket. Take note that they only had the light hooked up because it was a display model. They didn't even hook up the fan motor, so that's never even been used. Got the down rod off, so let's see how much further we can get. Okay, so we took off these 3 screws and it looks like it loosened up the bottom cover here. So there's our motor, and here's our polished brass bottom plate for decoration, I guess. It's always so funny to me how big they make these motor housings, and then it has this tiny little motor in them. Like, not every fan is like a Hunter original where it uses the actual entire enclosure. So, I don't know, design it differently or something. It's just so funny to me. I mean, that could be your ceiling fan right there. At least you're not faking it, you're being honest. This is all the motor is. Well, we got some decent parts out of it. And some nice globes, different hardware and stuff. So we'll see what I end up keeping and when I end up just, well, if I can talk today, recycling. Well, my parents were out this last time. They brought a whole bunch of different things other than just the Encon fans. Inside of this, I believe, are ballasts that I need to convert these back to preheat with the help of our Daybright fixture here. So, let's see what we have inside. I think there might be some extra things as well, but let's see what we got. So, we have some Robertson transformers here. These are preheat, even though you look at the schematic here and it does not show a starter. These are unique in the fact that they have an internal starter. As you can see, it does say preheat normal power factor here. We got another one in here, same exact thing, and another one, same exact thing, and another one, same exact thing. Now, I do run these with an external starter and they work absolutely fine. You don't need to use the internal starter on these. In fact, this fixture right here has the same exact ballast in it. And so does this one right here. This one has the exact same ballast in it as well. The starter's on the side there. So I run these 30 watt lamps in them. Works out great. So these ballasts, well, 2 of them, 2 are for whatever else, I guess. But 2 of them, these will do the middle lamps in our 3 lamp fixture. And the beautiful Jefferson ballasts in those, which are, I believe, high power factor compared to these that are normal power factor, will do the outside lamps. And then we'll have some 3-way pull chains where we can do middle, outer, and both. And last but not least, in the bottom here is a dual F40 T12 rapid start ballast. And I had them bring this out because you might remember I have one of these lights on the ceiling over here that is missing, and it's one of these shop lights. And when I was installing the outlet over there, the ballast went out in it for some reason. The ends would glow, but it wouldn't strike an arc. So there's a ballast to put into that fixture. It's just sitting right there in the middle of your screen waiting to have a new ballast put in. I originally was going to put in this ballast right here that I got at a restore recently, but I thought, well, I'll have them bring out an extra one anyway, because I could put that one in this fixture right here and convert it from electronic F32T8 into F40T12 rapid start. That would be pretty cool. Get some colored tubes in there or something. That would be pretty neat. So that is the plan with these ballasts. I got this MS106 light here, and well, it's not plugged in. Let's try that again. It's got a GE F6T5 bulb in it, but the problem is that it doesn't really keep an arc after a while. This thing will warm up and it'll just start blinking like we're in an old haunted house. Now, while a haunted house vibe is great for a haunted house, not so much when you just want a little bit of ambiance light. Now, I have one of them right here. You can see it's starting to go on the one end. But I have another one over here, again, not plugged in, so let's change that and plug it in here. And these just add some nice, little light in the evening to the workbench area here. Maybe you just don't want something super bright and you just want a little bit of light, and these certainly do the job real nice. But this one, it's starting to flicker. Eventually it'll go out. And I'm going to leave it on. We'll see if it starts doing it. But to resolve that, we need to install a new bulb naturally. So I picked up this box of F6T5 cool white bulbs at Value Village a while back. Well, this was quite a while back, actually. Look at how old this sticker is on the box here. Made in Japan. Definitely an older Philips design. You can see back in the day, someone bought this at Goodwill for $4, but ended up not using it either and giving it to Value Village, where I picked it up for $5 for a box of 25 bulbs. Not a bad deal at all. These originally were sold to the Seattle School District for, I'm guessing, use in exit signs. These bulbs were super common to be used in exit signs, so I'm sure they had a whole bunch of them in the Seattle School District. Interesting that that's what it says there, but then it has Tukwila on here, which is just south of Seattle there. But maybe they were mixed. Maybe the Seattle School District also had schools in Tukwila, or maybe their maintenance office was there. I mean, some of the addresses kind of mix within that area anyway. You could put in a Tukwila address and give it a Seattle name, and the mail will find its way there. So, I don't know. That's interesting, but these originally were shipped to the Seattle School District. So, here are our bulbs inside. They're still all brand new. I have not used them, and in fact, getting this box of bulbs is what prompted me to go on the hunt for some F6T5 fluorescent fixtures to use them in. So here's the packaging. Pretty nice little sleeve here. And if we're able to get it out without needing two hands, which I think will be kind of difficult, there we go. We'll find our bulb here with a very unique older Philips etch on it. Can't say I've ever really seen that before. That's a pretty neat etch, made in Japan, so you know the quality is going to be great on this bulb. So let's bring it over to our fixture here, which is already having its fun end of life session here, where the left side of the tube just is giving out. So again, while this is fun for a haunted house, not necessarily for practical use. So let's turn this off. We'll take this bulb out. Let's take a look at it. It is a GE F6T5 Cool White, also made in Japan. Interesting. Let's compare the two quickly. You know what? Probably came off the same machinery, to be real honest with you. I mean, the stamps on the end pretty much look the same. You just got one's Phillips and one's GE. Now, let's look at the GE here. Yeah, it's just kind of crimped on the end. It literally looks like the exact same bulb. Yeah, literally. Okay, well, let's put literally the exact same bulb back in, but in a Phillips brand. Well, if we can get it in there. There we go. Let's turn it on for the first time. Oh, that's much better and much brighter too. Look at the end here. If it'll focus on it, you can see it's kind of burning away the mercury that is stuck on the side of the tube. It's kind of hard to see, but it's slowly doing it. You kind of see that white spot right there. Again, the camera doesn't focus too good on it. But I'm not going to get rid of this tube. Like I said, it's kind of fun for an effect. Probably not too good on the ballast or starter, but we'll put it in this sleeve here and box it up and set it back on the shelf. This is a 150 watt metal halide floodlight that I picked up at the Restore many years ago. We used it at work for quite some time in our refurbishing area, and as we moved over the years, it just never found a home, and we don't really have a use for this fixture at the moment. So I thought I'd bring it home and clean it up and give it a once over and put it on the display wall here. So we have our 150 watt metal halide bulb in a open rated configuration with the cover on it. That's just the bulb we were able to source when the last one went bad. So that's what it has in it. And it's a little dusty dirty. I mean, it was in a shop area, so it's just full of dust and dirt. This is a very unique fixture because it is the one that has two separate ballasts inside. I guess you could say one is a ballast and one is a transformer, because the ballast for the bulb itself runs on 208 volt, and there's another transformer inside that brings the 120. I guess the 208's already there, so you wouldn't have that. 240 and 277 to 208. So then it passes it along to the 208 ballast for the bulb, and that's how you get it. But there's literally two separate ballasts, or a transformer and a ballast, or whatever. There's two separate components inside instead of all being on one block. Very interesting design. I don't know if they did that because it's really flat and they wanted it to be flat, or just the fact that it's an early metal halide being made in 1991. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and clean this thing up and get a box put back on it, and it'll eventually find another home. Here you can see the transformer and ballast configuration inside. You can see this one appears to be the transformer that just kind of, well, outputs and inputs and all kinds of different voltage or something. And then this one is the actual ballast. Oh, it looks like it doesn't do 208, so it looks like it accepts 240. So this one converts stuff to 240, I'm guessing. I don't know. I thought it converted things to 208. Maybe I'm wrong. But this one converts the voltage as far as I know. And then you got the ballast itself for the bulb. Just an interesting configuration. As you can see, they're very, not tall. They're very short, which makes them compact in this case here. And it looks like everything's holding up pretty nicely inside. One last thing to note before I close this up is that I noticed that it specifies an M81 lamp. I had to look that up, but it's just talking about a double-ended lamp, or one of them that has the two prongs at the end, versus a standard screw-in medium or mogul base lamp. Ended up finding a box sitting around that already has a cord on it, so we'll just save this for another project. I don't have a seal to seal it up, but it's not necessarily going to be used outside anyway, so it's just going to be on display here. Let's put it together. Got the box installed, and it also found a new home here. I thought it worked pretty good in this particular spot because it fits right underneath the arm, as you can see. And it's out of the way, so when you walk through, it's a little off-centered to begin with. It's not really centered in the fixture, as you can see. It's a little bit this way. And again, it just fits here really nicely out of the way. I really don't want to, but I have to take this thing apart again because I need to get to the drive gear that turns the entire housing. As you may know, the little gear on it is starting to fall apart just like the little tiny one did. So this one should be a little easier to recreate because it's not as, well, microscopic. But I still need to take the light kit off, the blades, and all the above just to get to that little gear. Hopefully we can redesign it this week and, well, print a couple and get it all going, and then it'll actually be, good to use without having to worry about it breaking apart all the time. You get the blades off, but of course the ultra annoying part, as I've stated, is you got to take this whole light kit off and all the wires and everything just to get this cover off. So let's proceed. Now with all that off, we can finally go ahead and get our C-clip off of here and that screw, of course, and we're home free. And there's our literally disintegrating gear. Hopefully next time you'll see a nice new one here.
I really do hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. Leave a like down below and a comment. I do enjoy reading all of your comments. Of course, check out the other videos here on the screen. And until next time, thank you very much for watching.